Greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the Vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just wanted to do a post today to give a little bit more insight on something that I think that, going into a new year here, 2018. Just wanted to share some more insight on some of the things that I know to be true from having specific pieces of information and lifestyle passed along to me, and I wanted to talk about those things today. So, thank you for tuning in live or listening to replay. Today, we're going to be talking about generational curses, and I know a lot of people think that curses are things that probably you can't get rid of or something like that, but I really just want to comment on them from a perspective, educated perspective, and share a little bit more insight about how they actually operate so people can understand that curses come from ignorance. They don't really come from something that's passed along through just your bloodline or just through your DNA. People think like, oh, a generational curse is going to be passed along through your DNA. It's going to be passed along through your thoughts and things like that. And I think that those things are, but I think that there's a lot more. There's a deeper level to it, and so I'm going to share with you all what we know to be true at the Vault, the private education that you get at the Vault through Trust Christian, Own Nothing, Control Everything. A generational curse can be as simple as owning something. See, like I say, a curse comes from ignorance. So when people think that they can own something in life, that's a curse. You think that you can own your house. You can't own your house. You barely even own your body. You're a steward of your body. And so to relate this to what I'm an expert in, which is trust, own nothing, control everything, one of the curses, and one of my mentors would always state it as, is there's an informed family and an uninformed family. See, an informed family knows that you can't own anything. They don't teach their children to own anything. They teach them to be a trustee of everything. They teach them to control everything. They don't teach their children to own things. Ownership incurs liability. That's a curse. Liability is a curse. Okay? But it's also responsibility. So why not put yourself in a position of a limited liability capacity, where a lot of individuals don't understand that there's a limited liability capacity in business and in life. Own nothing, control everything. So let's talk about that curse once again, which is the limited liability curse. People thinking that they can own something. You can't own anything. You can't own a car. But informed families have made it a point to distort information to uninformed families and let them know and make them think that you can actually own your vehicle when it's under state regulation, when it's under a public regulation. People talking about the tax bills and things of that nature. Why is it that wealthy people don't pay taxes? But for some odd reason, they're the ones passing the bills. They're passing the laws for middle class and poor people. I don't see one rich person on the air when it comes to that tax bill admitting that they're not paying taxes, but at the same time saying that they're going to adhere to it either. It's quite interesting. When you look at our manual and our private trustee manual, it says taxes. I'm not going to say it's a curse, but and long story short, in our manual it says taxes are a curse. The more proper definition for it, taxes are theft. It's the government taking money away from you to actually do some public good. Why? Because you haven't set up your affairs, your lifestyle, to actually lighten the burden of government. That is what charity is for. See, all wealthy people have charities in place. All elite have charities in place. Private family foundations. They lighten the burden of government. Charities are to lighten the burden of government. So when we talk about generational curses, we're talking about you correcting your thinking. See, a generational curse right now is making people think that they can go into debt to get an education. I remember one generation ago, I used to hear people all the time say, oh yeah, I had to work while I was going to college. The average college student, they can barely hold 4 classes and still live their life. They can't even go to school off of 4 classes and get it and work a part-time job because their life is so burdened down by 4 classes. When I have friends from all over the world and they're taking 6 and 7 classes because it's a curse to tell your children that they need to go to school to get an education, to live a life. The same jobs that they're going to come out and in 3 to 5 years, they're going to be automated. That's a curse. See, it's about education. And the education has been controlled far too long by wealthy individuals, through endowments, through the school system. Most people don't even want to believe that there is one family, and I can name a couple other families, one family, J.D. Rockefeller. You can go look this up. It's called the Board of Education and Friends, that created the public school system called the Board of Education. It changed over to the Board of Education in 1954. And individuals don't want to believe that. They don't have to believe it. It's the facts. But a curse is ignorance. So the average individual doesn't know. But it was started out as the General Education Board of Friends. You can look up that document online. So that's a curse. Making children think that they need to just get an education so they can be a good factory worker, a good corporate employee. We live in a free enterprise economy. If you're living in the United States, and if you're living anywhere else in the world, you should be focused on creating something, because we're all creators. We're co-creators. Generational curses make people think that they need to go to school and get a job, so they can just make money off of somebody else telling them what to do, what time to come into work, what time to go to lunch, what time to get home. That's a generational curse. Goal setting. They say 4 to 8% of the population sets goals. Why is that? That's a curse. Individuals that don't understand the power of goal setting. It's about getting rid of generational curses. So, most people don't want to invest in their education. They want a free education from the public school system. Anything that's free can be taken from you. Did you know that? Because you didn't earn it. You have to earn air. If you don't breathe, it doesn't come to you for free. You have to inhale and exhale. That's earning air. The average individual will never understand something as simple as that. So I share with you all today the importance of getting rid of generational curses. Getting rid of business curses. Understanding that you have to invest in your education as you go into the new year 2018. Making it a point to become an informed family. To invest in your family's education. A generational curse. I remember, this is a true statement. I remember when I first got the trust information from my mentors and I took it to my grandmother. I told my grandmother, I said, Grandma, what are you going to pass along to me? My grandmother told me she wasn't going to pass me anything. You want to know why? Because the generational curse told her that she didn't need to pass on anything to her children and her children's children. Because there was no legacy. There was no education for legacy. It was all focused on getting money and being a worker bee. I broke that generational curse. It's up to you to break that generational curse for you and your family. For you to say, I'm going to put an investment vehicle in place for years to come. For generations to come. I share with you all the time the 500-year-old investment that my family has. 500-year-old investment that we have now. The average individual doesn't even care about something like that. So it's important for you to break generational curses by investing in opportunities that can last for 500 additional years. See, I speak to a specific audience. I speak to a specific individual. An individual that wants to uphold their family last name. That wants to ensure their family legacy. You think the Rockefellers' children are working at Walmart? Do you think they're driving Uber at 50 years old after they said they retired? No, they're not. It's about creating a legacy. That's what it's about. So your children don't have to work. So your children's children don't have to work. At least for some other man in their family. It's about family. See, a generational curse is being an individual taxpayer. Filing individual taxpayer taxes on a 1040. That was instituted once again by the Rockefellers and 12 other families. They created a generational curse. Before 1933, there was no social security numbers. It was about families. They created individual taxpayers. So you can go get an apartment and now live in the family estate housing. How do you get rid of generational curses? You do like immigrants do. You get into houses together. You make it a point to work together with your family. You learn how to build trust together. I hear people come to the vault all the time and they say, oh, I want to start a trust. But then they don't have anybody in their lives that they trust. How are you going to start a trust and you don't have anybody in your life that you trust? That's a curse. You're supposed to at least be able to trust your family. You're supposed to be able to at least trust your friends. You're supposed to be able to at least trust your community that you're living in. Hey, watch my house while I'm on vacation. It's a generational curse to not have community. That's a generational curse. You break that curse by being informed, by being a part of communities that have integrity, that say that they stand on trust, that they stand on values, that have a code of ethics, and if you break it, there's consequences. That's how you break generational curses. Where they have laws in place. I have people that say all the time, they come to the vault, oh, I want to start my own private community. Well, in order for you to start your own private community, you got to become a part of one. You got to know how a private community operates. If you've been in the public your whole life, how you going to know how a private community operates? You have to become a part of one so you can know the true values, the true integrity that's being upheld. In our private community, we have a code of ethics. That's how you break generational curses. You make it a point to become a part of something greater than yourself. It's about families. And far too long have too many families been broken up because they don't understand it's about their last name. They're focused on their first name. They're focused on the generational curse of being an individual taxpayer filing a 1040. When all wealthy families are filing 1041s. They're focused on the 1041 is called a trust and estate tax form. I remember when I first started sharing the trust information, I had mentors and people that I knew that had money and they had trust. They would say, there's no reason to share it with common people. Why? Because they're not focused on their family. They're focused on getting money. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep. It's about how much money you pass on from one generation to the next. Are you going to let wealthy people say that about you? Or are you going to join the wealthy class and say, I deserve that type of thought process. I deserve to make sure that my legacy lives on from one generation to the next. That's why there's a culture in the United States that they don't even know their generational curse. They can't get past it because they don't know their family from generations ago, what they did, what they're good at. When you set up trust and estates, you know what your family is good at. So you follow suit. That's what's in your DNA. Your DNA is made for you to be good at math and accounting. Your DNA is good for you to be at law. Your DNA is good for you to be at speaking in the public. Your DNA is good for you to be carpenters. It's a trust and estate. But the average individual will never grasp that concept. This message isn't for everybody. This is a holy message. It's a message for individuals that want to live at a higher level, have higher principles that they live by. I just thought even before I wanted to do this post, I said it's so interesting that wealthy people live off of a spiritual law, because in the spirit world there's laws. The law of gravity is a spiritual law. You can't see it, but it's real. It's the same thing with telling the truth and telling a lie. It's a spiritual law. So the spirit is always going to have laws that you're going to have to adhere to. And that's why it's important for you to make it a point to live those laws. And trust and estates are spiritual laws. That's why they're not regulated by the public. See, the public tried to regulate them. That's why they have a legislator. The public is to protect people from their ignorance. When I talk to one of my mentors, we always sit there and he talks about, and he has an interesting perspective towards the public and the legislator, because when you think about the government, why do you think they have FDIC insurance for your money? How are they going to protect you from losing money? How's the government going to insure you from losing money? Who's the government? It's the people. It's you. So how are they going to protect you from losing your own money? You forgot. Wealthy people put those laws in place. They're protecting you from your own ignorance, so you can't get into the same investments that they're in. because they're in risky investments. They're willing to take a risk. They're willing to take responsibility for their losses. So they protect ignorant people. They put them on welfare. They give them welfare, crumbs. That's why they have a thing called the minimum wage. They don't have a maximum wage. That's a spiritual principle. There will never be a maximum wage in a free market society. There will never be a maximum wage in a free market economy, in a spiritual based economy. So it's up to you to make it a point to get rid of that generational curse. To just, what they say, live within your means. You're supposed to be expanding your means. You're supposed to be growing your means. You're supposed to be making more money today than you made yesterday. You're supposed to be making more money this hour than you made the last hour. That's how powerful getting rid of a generational curse is. And does it take mental fortitude? Yes, it does. Does it take heart? Does it take passion? Does it take purpose? Does it take will? Yes, it does. This message isn't for everybody. It's for the individuals that are going to make it a point to grow themselves on a daily basis through personal development. Not waiting for the government to give them a handout, the way to live their life. The blueprint. Everybody's looking for the blueprint. They're looking for the how. You want to know what I've always started living my life by once I found out? It's always about why. The purpose. Why are you doing it? Why are you working every day? I'm going to tell you why you're working every day. You're working because you've been programmed to work every day. You've been programmed through a public school education to get an education, to get a job, and work until you die and or when you get 65. That's the rule. Isn't that the blueprint in the United States? You get Social Security when you turn 65. Am I right or wrong? That's a blueprint. That's set up in place for people. It's a blueprint. So how do you break that curse? You start thinking about alternative measures. And alternative measures is breaking that curse. Saying, I can't think like this. I don't even know if I'm going to make it to 65. I better live my best life today and right now. And the way you do that is by focusing on your purpose. Getting rid of that generational curse of waiting until you're 65 to retire so you can go to the casino. So you can go on cruises when you're old. Should do that when you're young. So you get rid of generational curses by getting around people that stretch you. By getting around people that are going to help you grow. They're going to think differently, dynamically. That are thinking about doing the things that you want to do. How do you do that? You get around people, go to networking sessions and business opportunities in your area. There's no lack in the universe, ladies and gentlemen. So I just wanted to share that with you all. There's no lack in this universe. A lot of people think, oh, there's a certain number of this and a certain number of that. I promise you it's not. It's spiritual. You have to focus on growing abundantly. So I just wanted to share those thoughts with you all, ladies and gentlemen. You got to get rid of those generational curses. And the way you're going to do it is either by getting in trustee training, making it a point to get around a community that's focused on those spiritual principles of growing yourself from one generation to the next. It's so lovely to know that you can think about that. Where instead of you just waking up every day just trying to pay the bills, you got average individuals on the radio or on TV talking about, oh yeah, the average individual, they don't even have money to live past 3 months. Oh, the average American, they don't have savings over $1,000 or $4,000 in their bank account. You want to live by those statistics? You want to even live by those pundits talking that way? Or you want to live around a group of people that say, the universe is abundant. We should be focused on growing our wealth every single day, every single hour. That's the opportunity you have. That's what the vault provides. That's what Trust Christian provides. Is an abundance mentality. To break those curses. To live generationally. That's what it's about. I just want to thank you all for listening live or listening to replay or even sharing this with your friends and family to hear a positive message. I shared with you all that I would do an episode every single day for the month of December, and that's what I did. I hammered it out. We got one more day. I'm going to do one more for coming in on the new year tomorrow on the 31st. But sometimes this is what you got to do. You got to do something. You got to stretch yourself. I did an episode every single day. I usually do episodes every Tuesday. You got to do something that stretches you every single day. I'm doing something right now that I don't even normally want to do, as far as emails and doing other stuff. But you got to break those curses. Oh, I don't know how to write. So write 30 days every day in a row. See how you break that curse. I don't know how to write. How about you sit in front of the computer for 30 days straight and learn how to write by watching videos on how to write creatively? Break those curses, ladies and gentlemen. You're the only one holding yourself back. Like I say, this is a spiritual message today. This isn't just about making money. This is about generational curses. Oh, my family never moved out of this community. Oh, my family never made this amount of money. If you knew the type of dreams that I had, there's no one in my bloodline that I can honestly come out and outrightly say they have generated a certain amount of money. Partially because dollars haven't even been around that long. But I can share with you all that you can break those generational curses if you just stretch yourself. If you make it a point to grow yourself. And if you get around the right people that support those things. You got to get around people that support those things. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you got to make those changes just for 2018. That's a day-by-day decision. That's an hour-by-hour decision. I promise you. There are some people that are going to get left behind this year. And it's up to you to go to the next year. Everything is moving forward. I remember when I heard this principle in my life, and they said, nothing is ever sitting still. It's either moving forward or it's going backward. When you think you're sitting still, you're going backward. That's how you break that generational curse. You got to get up every single day. Thank the Lord that it's a new opportunity so you can go out and do something great for tomorrow. It might not be a guarantee, but at least make something better for tomorrow. So you can have a better place to lay your head tomorrow. So you can impact some lives for tomorrow. That's why I do what I do. For my tomorrows. My children's children. I thank you all for tuning in live. We got some people here in the chat. I'm going to post some things in the chat here as far as the email for the trustee training. We have our first trustee training workshop, asset protection workshop, coming up in January. It's going to be in Miami. It's going to be on the 24th of February. I'll make it a point to get you all that email, but you all need to get on the email list, which is, what is that? Welcome to the vault.com. You can go to the website and get on the email list, and you all will be getting the email here over the next few days, and you'll get the email to actually get the details. It is RSVP only. We've done workshops already. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I've been mentored in what is it that I do. This isn't something that I'm new to. I have private mentors. We still have private mentors in trusteeship. We have wealth managers. We don't need to be in the public. People say, oh, well, I don't really know about all the things that you're doing behind closed doors. You're right. You don't need to know everything in the public. It's private. It's called a private education. You invest in your private education. This one isn't free. The government's not going to give you the money for this one. So yes, you might have to cut out cable for a month or two. You might have to cut out going to leisurely activities. We're wealth building over here. When you build wealth, you give up leisure activities for a period of time. It's an investment. Investments pay for our leisure activities. We live, sleep, and eat and play trusteeship. The trust pay for us to do everything that we want to do because we're trustees. We're growing the assets for the trust, so there's benefits for it. That's a stewardship mentality. That's not an ownership mentality. That's a trustee mentality. We live off fringe benefits. The trust can't drive the Lamborghini. We drive the Lamborghinis as trustees for the trust. That's the benefit of trusteeship. So that's how you break a generational curse. You don't need to own it. We don't need to be liable for it. We give up liability. Thank you all for tuning in live. Appreciate you, Tamara. Appreciate Camilla. I think it's Camilla. Miss Amos, I'll just say that. Amos, I'll say that. K Spade, thank you for tuning in live. Blake, Nelson, DJ Hammer, Nagoose, thank you all for tuning in live. Appreciate you all. Feel free to share with your friends and family. Look forward to hearing from you in trustee training in the first workshop. And we'll go from there. Thank you all for tuning in live. Looking forward for you all to join us. And we will talk to you all tomorrow. I know I did this post as a simulcast on Facebook and YouTube, but it'll be on YouTube tomorrow. We'll do another YouTube blast. And yeah, just make it a point to do something for your life every single day, please. I see so many people that are waiting There's no weight game out here, folks. You got to do something great for your life today. Just one thing that you know is going to make the difference for your tomorrow. Peace and blessings. Trust Christian. Own